happy Wednesday. I am in some reading sprints right now on Katie's channel. Not in them, but like, you know, watching them. And I'm trying to crack into Sundial. I am a little under 100 pages. I'm somewhere around like 85 right now in. And I feel like the story is about to like really get going. So I'm excited to dive into that. I don't know if I told you what this book is about. It's by Catriona Ward, who's the same author that wrote The Last House on Needless Street. And it's about a mother and daughter who are very wary of each other. They also, the mother has a husband and another child. And her name is Rob, and her husband have a very toxic relationship. I don't even know how to begin to describe the relationship because we don't get a lot of it, and then one of them will do a vindictive thing to the other, and you're like, where did this come from? But her husband is a serial cheater, so I mean, I guess that's part of it, but he's not really that important so far, so I'm not really going to talk about him very much. Her daughter, Callie, is like 12, I think, and she's kind of scared of her. She just found these drawings in Callie's room, and on the back are bones that match. So if she draws like a dog, the bones of the dog are on the back. Squirrel, you know, you kind of get the picture, so it's kind of gruesome. And then Callie's really wary of her mother because she says her mom is, what did she say? Callie's worried about her mother. Rob has begun to look at her strangely and speak of past secrets. I'm at the part of the story where Rob has just taken Callie to Sundial, which is the name of Rob's childhood home that her dad built in the middle of the Mojave Desert. It seems very sketch. It's very atmospheric. It's very spoopy. If you're in the mood for like a Halloween-y, maybe Halloween's too far. Like, it's not truly Halloween-y, but if you're in the mood for that kind of creepy, secluded trope, like, because this house is out miles away from anyone else. There's another like adjacent house/farm situation that has some history that I think we're going to learn more about. They say that puppies were bred there, but the way they talk about it makes me think like we might get some ghost dogs or I don't know, some sort of terrible horror story. So I don't feel like I really pitched this very well, but Stephen King says it's a true nerve shredder, and I'm getting those vibes already where as the pages keep going, I'm like, ugh, I don't think I want to keep going, but I need to know what happens. But I don't want to keep going, but I need to know what happens. So I'm excited to see how that goes, and I will have an update for y'all here. Maybe when I get to around 150 pages, we'll see if anything exciting's happened. I'll let you know. Hello. It's Thursday. I forgot to update y'all last night. Oops. I started reading, was participating in the sprints, and then decided to get up, take a shower, get ready for bed, all that good stuff, and then I just forgot to pick up the camera and update y'all. So, I'm on page 117 or 118, whatever the beginning of the chapter is. And, a lot has happened in this last 60 pages, but like not action-wise, we just got more backstory. So, when I left y'all, I let you know that like, Rob and her daughter Callie had made it to Sundial, and Callie started to try to figure out like, why she's there and what's going on. And they have this moment on this like hilltop. Her mom makes her go hiking with her. Something happens. You expect one of them to have died. They didn't. And they're like, you know what, we're gonna go home and we'll talk about that. Or not home, but go back to Sundial and we'll talk about this. Weird moment. I don't think they've talked yet. Because instead we get flashbacks to Rob and her twin sister Callie's her daughter. Her twin sister Jack when they're kids. And so we get some more of that and kind of like the way Sundial was run. It kind of seems like a commune. Because her dad, they don't call him dad. I forget what his name is in this. Let me see. It was something weird like, I don't know. Falcon. Their dad's name is Falcon. Their mom died when they were 4. And then there's Mia or Maria. Mia was their dad's assistant when they were kids and is now his wife, I think, or girlfriend or whatever. I say now because it's not now. It's the flashback. But it's a very weird dynamic. I still don't really get it yet. I just know that like they do some weird shit with breeding dogs. There hasn't been any actual animal cruelty yet, but I feel like it's coming. and they allude to their, like, that neighboring house I was talking about before, about it seemingly being a puppy mill or something, or maybe they were, no, they did say that they bred some of the dogs specifically to, like, not donate to science, but like for like animal testing kinds of things. So like there's some mentions of cruelty there, but there hasn't been anything like on page like, oh my god, I can't read this yet. So we'll see. I feel like that's about to happen, which makes me just like want to snuggle this one even more, because how could you ever look at that face? Why would you ever? But a book's a book, and sometimes they're done in a way that's like, I guess, respectful to the difficult topic, because we do know, like, these things happen. Animals get abused. There's still animals being used for, you know, testing makeup and products that humans are going to use. And so I think it is important for us to still experience that in some ways in our media like this, so that we don't forget that there are things still happening that we don't like, that we would like to change. As a reminder to us to do that work to change it. But I also think it has to be done in a way that just isn't there just to make you, I don't know, like make you cry because, you know, something's being tortured on a page. So I'm hoping it's handled that way. We'll see. This is my first copyright award. I didn't read The Last House on Needless Street. Not because I didn't want to, I just didn't get to it. A couple of book clubs that I participate in read it, and I just, for whatever reason, didn't. I think partly it was because I knew for the story type I was going to need the audiobook, and the holds list at my library was like weeks long. And then when I tried to get it, I think on Scribd, it did that thing where I had read too many frontlist books at the time, and you know how it puts in the back of line or whatever, and it says you can't until your renewal date. And so I just kind of put it off on my TBR, and I was like, I'll read it when it's less popular. So all that to say, I learned more about the story, not the story, but about Rob's childhood. Not a lot, I think, but I think enough to start to piece together some of the things they're seeing. Like, I think in the beginning I told you that Callie sees what she calls Pale Callie, which is, I assume, her ghost. And she also sees what she calls Pale Puppy or Pale Dog, which is a dead dog. So I think the dog is either manifestation or ghost from when Rob was a child on Sundial while she's being surrounded by these dogs. I can't figure out what the purpose of her bringing Callie to Sundial was yet. There have been some, oh, you know what makes me think that, not makes me think, there's another piece that I forgot to tell you about. Rob writes these stories like in longhand, in pencil on page, called, it's like something wood. It's meant to be like a boarding school style story, Arrowwood. But she uses the names of people in her family and that she knows as the character names, and then changes them later. And Callie has found, I think, one of them, or had found them before, 'cause she mentions having read them, and like, oh, my mom thinks of me in, you know, this way or whatever, because she thinks that that's supposed to actually be her. And maybe it is, maybe it's, you know, Rob projecting. We don't know enough yet. But that's another piece of the story that's kind of, I feel like it's gonna tie in somehow, but we just haven't gotten enough of it yet to really get there. So we'll see. I think the next, in the physical book, they're like these kind of, I think you can see that, they're like these grayish pages. And so when you look in the side, there's some there. So they're kind of few and far between, honestly, I think. Unless like maybe some of them aren't as dark, and so I just can't see them well. But the next one's not supposed to be until, well, hold on, where's that one? Okay, so I'm on page 1817. The next one is on page 134. And then I think you go another 50 or so pages before you get another one, which maybe even longer than that. 134 to 189. So it's like they're so split, and then the next one is like at the very end. So I think there's only like 5 of them in the book total, because I've already experienced 2. And so yeah, 1, 2, 3. So I don't know. I guess the audio's helping, because when I was sitting here reading this yesterday, I just felt like I was reading for so long and I got nowhere. And in general, I am not opposed to reading longer books. I like longer books most of the time, actually. As long as the story keeps going, if it's plot-based, or as long as the character development or the characters experiencing something, right? Because you don't want to read a 600-page book and feel like you wasted 300 pages. Like, you want to get something out of it. And maybe that will happen with this. And honestly, this book isn't even that long. It's somewhere between like 250 and, I know it's not 250 because I'm looking at page 255 right now, but I'm like trying not to, you know, really look. I want to say it's less than 300 pages. I can definitely tell you that. I think it's around the 290 mark, which for it to be less than 300 pages and to feel like a 450 page book, I understand why people struggle with the pacing. I get it. I've also heard that the front half is better than the last half, and that makes me nervous because the front half has been so slow. So I don't know, we'll see what happens. But I wanted to give y'all an update and I guess a little bit more about what's going on in the story, because since I'm only reading one book for this vlog, I want to tell you as much as I can tell you without spoiling it or without changing maybe your future reading experience if you haven't read it. So hopefully I've told you enough to kind of understand where I am and how I'm tracking, but hopefully I didn't tell you too much to where you feel like what's the point of reading it. So with that being said, I know I'm not going to update you more tonight, if I'm being honest. So hopefully I'll have something more for you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. Heck yes, I have a 3-day weekend because my birthday's on Sunday and I took Monday off just because I know I'm going to do activities all weekend long and I'm going to want to recuperate. So hopefully I'll be finished with this by Monday. My library has been randomly extending my checkouts if there's no one like on a hold for them. So I went to go look to see when it was due back because I was expecting to get one of those emails or like push notifications from their app saying like, hey, like got a book due soon, and I hadn't seen it. So I was like, oh no, like am I overdue? Did I miss the notification? Thinking maybe I accidentally deleted the email without reading it. And I looked and it said it's not due till May 7th. I've had this book since March. Like since March. So I don't know. I thought like it would have like some holds on it and stuff, but I guess I feel like I haven't seen that many people talking about it either. So I don't know, we'll see. I think part of it too is the trigger warnings for animal cruelty, which I understand, and so somebody's got to be brave enough to read it and see if it's as bad as, you know, the labeling. So we'll see. Hopefully it's not. Wish me luck, and I will update y'all probably tomorrow. Hello, happy Friday. I am home from work, ready to read, crochet, and watch some softball. And I know that sounds like a lot, but softball's on mute. There's like 4 games going on at once right now at this moment because bless the ESPN app on Apple TV making that possible. I am working on these cute little squares for a project. I have a bunch of them here in different shades. They're the same stitch, but and same size, but different shades. I figured I'd do like a patchwork situation. A friend of mine is having a baby in, gosh, 3 or 4 months. So I figure I would make something cute and practical for them. So I figure you can never have too many blankets, especially when you're in the spit up phase of babies. I'm in about the same spot as Sundial, but I forgot to tell you that like there was this weird moment between Jack and Rob. Where Rob is like checking on Jack because apparently their dad does like MRIs and blood work on them regularly. We don't know why yet, but Jack freaks out in the MRI, is like losing it. They come back home, like I say come back home because they're on this, like I said, they're on this large piece of land and they have different buildings for different uses and then like the main house. So they go from whatever building has the MRI and blood work in it back to their house. And they're sitting in the house talking afterwards, trying to make sure that Jack is okay. And Jack and Falcon, their dad, go and walk off somewhere and leaves Rob and Mia together. And then Jack comes back and is in the bedroom that her and Rob share. And Rob's like over there like, Jack, are you okay? Are you okay? You know, normal stuff. And then Rob like starts to like slowly attack her, like biting her hand, like trying to like literally take her fingers off, and she's like, I think pulling her hair or something. It was very weird. It was like she was possessed. And even after she says, I feel like I was in a dream or something, like I don't know what happened. So I'm interested to see what happens with that. That is going to keep me going, because honestly, if that hadn't happened, I don't know if I would have DNF'd, but like I wouldn't be excited to pick this up for more. So I am going to start some more of that audiobook, keep working on these little squares, and then I will update y'all in a little bit. I finished this last night. I don't even... This took a very hard left turn. One that I sort of saw coming, but did not see developing in the way it developed. Wow. If you're looking for the sadistic human spirit, like, here you go. This is like the shit you see on like an episode of Law and Order SVU that's like not centered around the R word, you know, other types of special victims. But like at some points kind of explicit, but not too explicit. And then you just kind of get the mental aftermath of the victims, more so, is why your reading experience is the way it is, because you're kind of working with them. I don't want to say you're working through their trauma with them, because some of them don't even know that they have trauma, and their trauma gets revealed to them, which is traumatic in itself. I didn't rate this on Goodreads when I finished it last night. I still don't have a rating for it. My reading experience for this was probably a 2.5, maybe a 3. Just because it was kind of hard to see where the story was going, so it was hard to get invested. Once I found the audiobook on Scribd, that helped a lot. I was very invested in the second half, though, I will say. Once you cross, like, I want to say that middle Arrowwood story, because there are those insertions of Arrowwood in here. Yeah, once you get past the third Arrowwood story, which I guess puts you around the 140 page mark, like, I wanted to know what was going on. I wanted to know what was happening. So I was very invested on the second half. The first half I was not. I find that people say the opposite, that they cared more about the first half of this book than the second half. And I guess I could see why, if like you're more into like family drama thrillers, and like this still is kind of that, but it's very different on the second half of it in the way that the family's tied in. It's, you know, not about her husband and kids so much as it's about her childhood. I'm trying to say things without spoiling for people who haven't read it. I will say, if you are interested in reading this, please go look at content warnings on the story graph. I'm going to try and list as many of them up here in editing as I can, so that you can kind of just know. But if you are concerned, feel free to like DM me. My socials are in the description box, and we can kind of talk. I'll try to keep it non-spoiler, obviously, but like I can tell you, like, is it just like mentioned on a page, or is it like a graphic scene, so you can kind of help decide for yourself if you would like to read this. But yeah, I was thoroughly weirded out, and honestly that's what I went into this book wanting, so I guess the goal achieved. Yeah, I don't know, man. This book is definitely not for everyone. It's definitely not for everyone. But I think that's kind of Catriona Ward's thing. Like, she seems to write polarizing books. Like, I feel like people either loved or hated Last House on Needless Street. Wow. I feel like people either loved or hated The Last House on Needless Street, or they love or hated Sundial. I feel like there's no middle. And I enjoyed that, personally. I hate leaving a book and just kind of going, meh, I don't know, it was fine. I much prefer to have stronger feelings about it. And I do have some strong feelings about this. I just don't know how to put them into words without spoiling huge sections of the book. Yeah, the ending kind of leaves off, not on a cliffhanger, but like on a did this happen, didn't it happen moment, but not about anything major. It was more so about like a smaller plot line, which I appreciated. I kind of like when thrillers end that way, where you're like, this could go one of two ways. But it doesn't feel like it cheapens the rest of the story you just experienced. I hate when you go into a thriller, you're really tied into the story, and then they decide that they're gonna throw you a did this happen or didn't at the end, and you're just like, well, what was the point of me reading all of this if you're not that you have to tell me exactly what's going to happen, but like writing it in such a way that I feel, I guess, equipped to decide what happened for myself. And sometimes it just doesn't hit, but they did a good job with this. What I was gonna say about like kind of the ending action-y scenes, some of it just doesn't feel plausible. And there isn't any like magical realism to this, so that can't be like scapegoated into that. So I don't know, maybe it's just the strength of a mother. You hear about moms pulling like babies out of cars and, you know, tornado rubble when, you know, they should basically be dead from their injuries, and they're pulling their kids to safety. So, I mean, I guess, I don't know. I'm not a mom, so I have never felt that need to use my life force to keep something alive. So, I mean, I don't know. But if you are a mom, I don't know if you want to read this. Honestly, I don't know, it's really fucking traumatic. Maybe if you're the kind of person who enjoys reading things that make you thankful for the mundanity and things of your life, then maybe you would like this. But otherwise, I think it'd be kind of sensitive for moms, if I'm being honest. Maybe not all moms. Again, moms aren't a monolith, but, you know, just something to think about. If you're like, man, I really want to read this, and you've got, you know, younger children, not super young, because the kids in this book were 12 and I think 7 or 8. But those are some critical ages, and oof. Anyway, that is it for this recap. I appreciate y'all going on this ride with me. Lots of rambling and veiled opinions, just because I'm trying not to spoil it. But if you have read this and you want to talk about it, like I said, feel free to DM me. Happy to talk about it. I got a lot of thoughts. And with that being said, and most importantly understood, I will see you all in another video soon.